Hello everyone, this is Citrina, and today I am talking about the astrological houses. We're going to explain why it's important for you to get a birth chart interpretation. Now, if you are studying astrology or thinking about studying astrology, I highly recommend that you purchase some type of ephemeris. The ephemeris will list the different, for every day of the year, it will list where the planets were in each sign. So it's very important to get this. And the one I have is through the year 2050. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go over 2 examples I have for you to let you know. This is one reason why when I do my astrological readings for the month, I just do a general reading. I don't do interpretations for the whole sign. Like I don't do interpretation for all of Leo or all of whatever sign, because it will affect each person differently depending on what house it falls in. So let's go and get into the examples. So for this example, this person was born on March 15th, 1988. Now, when this person was born, their rising sign, Gemini, was the rising sign when they were born. So that's why Gemini is in house 1 for this person. Now for this person, this is where the planets were when this person was born. Now the NN right here, that stands for North Node. I have it circled because North Node is not a planet. It's a point in the sky when you're born. Now, for this person, they had Pluto retrograde and Scorpio in house, reading upside down, in house 6. Okay, and you can read the rest. They had the Sun in the 10th house, North Node in the 10th house in Pisces. They had Jupiter and Venus in the 12th house in Taurus. Okay, so that's the example for that person. Now, let me just pull out the example for, okay, also, before I do that, so these planets never change. So this is from March 15th, 1988. Now let's say today is April 27th of the year 2003. And let's say you have Mars. Okay, let's say the transit for the day. Let's say Mars is in Pisces. So for this person, where is Mars going to fall? What house is Mars going to fall in for this person if Mars is in Pisces? For this person, Mars is going to fall in the 10th house because that's where Pisces is for this particular person. So for this person, Mars is going to be in the 10th house. Now let's look at another example. Okay, so now we have person B on the scene. Okay, so if for person A, if Mars was in Pisces for person A, if Mars is in Pisces, where is it going to fall for person B? What house is it going to fall in for person B? If Mars is in Pisces, if Mars is transiting Pisces, transiting means that it's going to be on this outer circle. This inner circle is never going to change, okay? The outer circle, the planets move every day. So every day planets are moving here. Now some planets are slower moving than other planets. So for person A, Pisces, Mars is in Pisces for everyone in the world, okay? So, but for everyone in the world, it will be in a different house based on your birth chart. So for person A, Mars was in house 10 because that's where this person's Pisces is. So for person B, what house is Mars going to be transiting for person B? I'll give you a minute to look at everything. Okay, so for person B, Mars is going to be in house 3. You see that? So it's important to know what each house represents. Okay, so person A, Mars was in house 10. Mars in Pisces was in house 10. And for person B, where was it? For person B, Mars was in Pisces in house 3. So let's look at the difference. For person A, their Mars was in house 10. So house 10 represents the career. It represents what you're known for in the world as far as your vocation. Now, person B had Mars in their 3rd house. The 3rd house is all about communication. So based on the planet and the sign, this is what the individual people will be dealing with. So you can see that even though you have transits, it will be in different houses for different people. Some people might have it in the same house. However, you can't guarantee that one particular sign all have Mars in Pisces in the same house, because it depends on their birth chart, basically. So what I'll do now is give you an overview of what each house represents to make it a little bit easier for you. Now, also, in the examples I gave you, I did not put any degrees, or I didn't talk about aspects, because let's take baby steps, guys, okay? Now, when I do a birth chart interpretation reading for you, I do have the degrees on the interpretation, and I also give you information on the aspects. Okay, so it will be more detailed than this. I'm just using these as an example to break it down to you, to let you know what is being talked about, so that you get a better understanding of the houses and a better understanding of the planets in relation to the zodiac signs, okay? So if you would like a birth chart interpretation, visit my website, Metaphysical Moonlighters, and I will get that out to you. Also, I do like to handwrite my charts. I just don't care to draw the symbols. Also, I could just print this off the internet. I could use software, but I personally just like to handwrite them. And I feel like when you're learning, it's really good to handwrite everything, whether you're going to draw the symbols or write everything out. I feel like you learn when you actually do the writing. So to me, it's just like when you learn mathematics. There's a lot of things that you can do on a calculator. However, if you really want to feel like you know what you're doing, you are going to handwrite that problem, okay? You can do multiplication, division, you know, algorithms, everything on a calculator. But when you handwrite that problem, you know what you're doing, okay? So that's why I like to handwrite my stuff, okay? My charts. So when you get a birth chart interpretation from me, I do not draw the symbols on the birth charts. And I like to do them by hand because I feel like we're all students. Even, you know, professional astrologers will all tell you that they are students of astrology. So I do consider myself a student of astrology. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, so let's talk about each house so that you can see what each house represents. Okay, let's start with house 1. Let me just get set up here. Let me get my pointer. Is this house 1? Because I'm reading upside down. Okay. Yes, okay, so that's house 1. Now, house 1 is all about self. It's the house of self. So house 1 is going to be about how you appear to other people. It's going to be about your outward demeanor, things of that nature. Moving on to house 2. House 2 is all about your money. It's about your finances. It's about your material possessions in the world. Moving on to house 3. House 3 is the house of communication. It can also represent short distance travel, and also it can talk about your siblings or your close neighbors. Moving on to house 4. House 4 is all about home and family life. It can also talk about your inner dialogue also. Moving on to house 5. House 5 is what I call the fun house. House 5 is all about pleasure. It's about having fun. It's about romance. It can also talk about children as well. And it's about creativity also. Okay, moving on to house 6. House 6 is the house of daily life. It can talk to such things as how you work, and it can also refer to your health. Moving on to house 7. House 7 is the partnership house. We're right here, house 7. House 7 is the partnership house, and we're talking about business partnerships or romantic partnerships such as marriage. Moving on to house 8. House 8 is all about other people's money. It is about death and rebirth. It can also talk to such things as sex, regeneration, things of that nature. Moving on to house 9 right here. Can you read it? Okay. House 9 is all about long journeys, long distance travel, such as overseas travel. It's about higher education. It's about law, philosophy, things of that nature. Moving on to house 10. House 10 is known as the house of your career. It's the house where it's basically what you're known for in the world as far as your vocation. So that's house 10. Now, moving on to house 11. House 11 is the house of friends. It signifies your relationships to your friends who have things in common with you. It's also about social groups. It's about putting your dreams to work. Moving on to house 12. House 12 is about manifesting your dreams. It's the house of, some people call it the mystical house because it's all about the subconscious mind. It can also represent places of isolation, such as hospitals or jails, things of that nature. Also, I want to make the distinction between house 5 and house 7. House 5, let's say you're dating someone and they are just sweeping you off your feet. That will be seen in house 5. However, after you've been married for a few years, have a few kids, that's house 7. Now, you might still have some romance going on, which would be signified in house 5, but house 7 is all about partnerships. Also, the difference between house 3 and house 9. House 3 talks about short distance travel. House 9 talks about long distance travel. House 3 talks about early education. House 9 talks about higher education. So that's just a little bit of information about the houses. So again, please like this video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. And if you would like a reading, whether it's tarot or an astrological birth chart, I would be happy to give you a reading. Just visit my website and I'll get that right out to you. Again, this has been Citrina. It has been a joy to bring this information to you. I do have my North Node in Aquarius, and just a little bit of information about me. So until next time, everyone, have a great day.